Two things have happened since I started my studio tour series. One, I've received a lot more requests for tips and tricks for making or improving home studios, and two, we're all spending a lot more time producing content at home. So today I've gathered together some of your favorite photo video YouTubers to get their tips on improving your studio and your production. Let's get undone.
Gerald Undone. He's crazy.
What's happening, everybody? I'm Gerald Undone, and Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. So, in my opinion, one of the simplest ways you can improve your productivity and the looks of your studio and shots is to stay organized. For me, a sloppy workspace leads to sloppy ideas and sloppy execution. This means putting things in places that make sense and where you can find them quickly when you need them. And for the things that stay out, keep them tidy, keep your cables managed, and your equipment secure. Something that can really come in handy in this pursuit are clamps. You can get an 8-pack of clamps like these for as little as $10 to $15, and they're infinitely useful. The same goes for Velcro cable ties. Velcro is definitely an unsung hero of a good studio.
What is up, people? Dunna here from the channel Dunna Did It, and I have a little studio hack that I absolutely love, and it has to do with something that we deal with pretty regularly. And that, of course, is Velcro. Turns out it's not just for old people's sneakers. You can pick up strips of Velcro that have adhesive on the back of them, and you can stick them to all sorts of things. You can use them to tuck away cables, you can use them to secure a power bar to the side of your desk, maybe stick your solid state drive to the back of your laptop. One of the things that I really love about this type of Velcro is that it's a lot stronger than, let's say, something like gaff tape. I can't count the amount of times that I've tried to gaff tape something up and it keeps falling down over and over. Couple of pieces of Velcro, no problem. You can pick them up in little squares like this, or you can get a big old roll of it and use it by just cutting it down as you need it. And the best part is you can just take those things off and put them back on whenever you need to. Also, you gotta admit, Velcro is oddly satisfying. All right.
You know, going back to my clamps, it was actually Dunna who showed me that clamps make for clever and versatile little headphone hangers, like this. Anyway, so you've got your studio all organized, but have you given any thought to the wall behind you? Because you should.
I'm Becki from Becki and Chris, and today my tip, or studio hack if you will, is to pick a background color that is a different tone than your skin. If you watch our channel, you'll notice that most of our backgrounds are either black or really, really bright white. And that is because my skin looks not good on a lot of other colors. So I choose colors or tones that are completely opposite my skin. So when I choose a white background, I'm choosing a white that's a cooler white that has blue undertones in it, not yellow, because my skin against a cream wall, it blends in. You can't even see my face. It's just like lips and eyeballs and just like flat. Or I'll choose a black or a gray neutral because I prefer neutrals. So if you are making over your studio space or you're picking a little corner in your house to paint for a background, consider choosing a color that you like that matches your brand, or a different tone than your skin. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Trying to color correct skin tones when your skin matches the wall is like impossible. Also, if you are painting, make sure you choose a flat or a matte paint. Eggshell or semi-gloss or even satin paint will reflect the light a little bit more and you'll see shine on the wall. So flat paint, matte paint will cut down on the reflection, especially if you're using lights. Make sure you get a good quality paint. This is not sponsored, but I always recommend Benjamin Moore Regal Select in matte finish. It's wipeable and I just find it goes on like butter. I had not used any other matte paint, so I cannot vouch for any other brand, but that is my favorite. I hope that tip was helpful, and thanks, Gerald, for including me in your video.
That wall color thing is so true and such a great point. I've been in that situation many times with cream-colored walls, where you try and adjust your skin tone and your wall turns green, or you lower the saturation of your face and all of a sudden you're in a black and white movie. Love that tip. Okay, so at this point, I was going to show you some tips from Tommy Calloway, but I got an email telling me that he dead dropped the footage on a flash drive as part of his new safety protocols, and he just sent me the coordinates. So I gotta go get that now. Give me about 15 minutes. Luckily, I was able to retrieve it using stock footage, which is convenient because this video is sponsored by Storyblocks. And this counts as one of my tips, because right now it's incredibly challenging to get a lot of the supplementary shots you might need to finish your project, especially when working from home. But even in normal circumstances, it can often be budgetarily or logistically unfeasible to acquire those ideal shots. Well, Storyblocks has you covered with an impressive collection of stock footage covering a wide range of subjects with unlimited downloads and 4K video. They're also amply supplied with backgrounds, overlays, and After Effects templates, and the interface is easy to use and navigate, and the clips are royalty-free for both personal and commercial use, so you can use them as much as you want, wherever you want. So if you think you could take advantage of a fantastic library of quality stock footage and effects, check out Storyblocks using the link in the description below. All right, now let's see what Tommy put on this thing.
I always use my own quick release plates regardless of what system I'm attaching my cameras to. Tripods, gimbals, sliders. I use the little Manfrotto RC323 or 232. I don't remember which one it is, but I buy these things basically in bulk and attach them to everything that I get because, I mean, having to switch between different quick release plates with different things is really, time consuming and irritating. Everyone should have a grade card because white balance. But two, if you put it on a light stand, if you're using a manual focus lens, you can use this little target to manually focus from behind the camera and then walk over in front of the camera and do your shot. And if you use the white balance card as your stand-in, you know that you have a good shot of a gray card for white balance. And my last tip for making life easier around my studio is wall mount all the lights, and whatever you can't put on the wall, stick it on wheels. You clear up a ton of floor space, and it's just so much easier to reorganize and get set up when everything's on wheels. Yeah, that's probably my favorite tip. Put everything on the walls, and if you can't get it on the walls, put it on wheels.
That walls and wheels thing definitely plays into the concept of staying organized, but I really like the white balance stand-in idea. That's pretty useful if you're shooting by yourself. And speaking of white balance, if you learn how to do it correctly, then you can do some pretty great stuff with lighting on the cheap.
So I think one of the easiest ways to make my studio look a little bit more interesting on the cheap is I use practicals everywhere. That's a practical. An ordinary incandescent bulb is a great way to add a little bit of interesting depth to your shot. The one behind me, the wall, this is kind of like adding a little bit of dimension, but also information about me, about my character. There's things on the wall. It looks kind of utilitarian, and there's like, these are my tools. What kind of tools is he using, right? It kind of tells a little bit about me. So if you have an extra light like, an Aperture MC or Yongnuo LED, you can motivate the practical. You can make it into a rim light or an edge light and make you pop out from the background even more. So now we put it over there, and it kind of looks like it's motivating that practical. But if we move it on this side, it'll look like it's motivating that practical, right? And so now there's like this nice orange glow around me. It makes it look a little bit more dimensional, right? So practicals, that's kind of their job. Their job is to hide extra lights. But sometimes, if the room is, not as big as this room, the practical is going to be giving you the light. And that's okay too. Incandescent bulbs are actually pretty color accurate as long as your white balance is set. You're not going to have all these crazy spikes of green or magenta that kind of plague cheaper LEDs. So incandescent bulbs are pretty awesome if you know how to use them right.
Okay, so we've got an organized space, nice walls, and dynamic lighting, but what about sound?
One of the biggest changes you can make to your studio that your audience will appreciate is taking care of their ears. A lot of us are working in spaces that are not acoustically treated, and I think that one of the biggest things you can do is acoustically treat your space. Now, it doesn't have to be anything super expensive. You can, if you're all in, you can go get some custom bass traps for your space. That's going to be the number one thing you could do. But if you don't have the money for that, and I understand if you don't, sound blankets can be a great choice as well.
My number one studio tip is going to be sound blankets. I use tons of them. For around 30 to 50 bucks, you can pick up an 80 by 80 inch. They don't look as fancy as Gerald Undone's sound panels, but they do the trick and you can store them easily. I've put them on rolling stands so I can move them around.
So to give you an idea of what this actually sounds like, I'm in an area of the studio that has no tiles or no blankets, nothing at all, just a normal office room. And now I'm going to walk toward the area where I normally sit. By the way, I'm just using the built-in microphone on the GH5 to even let you know how great this is without a special microphone. So now I'm in the spot where I normally sit. To film videos, this is what it sounds like with blankets. Checking 1, 2, check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3.
So that was the built-in microphone. Throw a decent microphone into the mix and things just sound amazing.
The first question will come up, well, can I just use furniture pads? Of course, you can use any blanket you have available to you or that you can afford. However, there are some advantages to sound blankets. Number one, these are black on one side, white on the other, so you can use them also for your lighting design. But more importantly, they are much denser than furniture pads. Furniture pads and moving pads are made to be lightweight and yet protect your furniture. These are much, much heavier. You can put them up on C-stands if you can't leave them up permanently, but they will make a world of difference in your studio and make it much easier on the ears of your audience.
I'm not sure if you've ever had one of those aha moments and you're thinking to yourself, like, why wasn't I doing this before? Or why didn't I think of this? Now, I'm gonna preface by saying that this is not my idea, and I actually took it from Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooter. He actually came up with this thing, and it saved me a ton of time. It's actually this contraption that you see here. It's basically this Rode microphone arm attached to a moving light stand. It's brilliant, but the idea is that whenever you're checking your frame and the freaking microphone is in frame, you can easily, I mean, I know this has happened before, and I apologize if the audio changed because it's a lot closer to my mouth, but you can just look at your frame and then, boop, it's out of frame. It's that simple. I know.
Of course, even if you go all out on sound treatment, like I tried to here, it's not going to stop your neighbors or the outside world from ruining your shoot. So to maintain your sanity in those situations, it's a good idea to develop a flexible workflow.
I know, right? It's as if I work for this guy. Like, what do you want next? Do you want me to fold your laundry for you, Mr. Jer? Having a flexible workflow is very important because sometimes the plans you make will not go as planned. For example, my upstairs neighbor is an actor, singer. The guy over there is a perfectionist musician. He practices a song all day long for days and then he makes it perfect. A costume designer over there, you never know. Plumber, leaf blowers, this and that. And some days, you may not know this about me, but I'm a very emotional person. I like flowers, poetry, and So sometimes, some days you don't want to do this. Some days you just want to be quiet. So having a flexible workflow means if I can't do this, I'll work on my script. If I cannot work on my script, if it is ready, for example, I can work on the beauty shots. Because it is much better to have something in hand than waste the entire day. Like, for example, this. Hey moms, you still there?
Our last tip comes from a creator who refuses to send his footage in 24 frames per second, even though this entire project is in 24p. But he does have some great advice about the ongoing quest to improve your studio and finished product.
My tip is always be iterating, always be innovating on your current studio space. You don't necessarily always have to buy new gear. You don't always have to buy new tech or cameras. Some of us have a harder time of that than others. But just take what you have and always try to find new ways to make it better. Like this shot that you see right here is a shot that I use all the time for like my talking head videos. But all of the stuff built around it has changed like 3 or 4 times in just like the last 2 weeks because I'm always trying to gain efficiencies. And you got to do that. Take your current studio spot, take all of these other tips that people are giving you today and iterate on them just a little bit at a time. And then you can mold it into a better solution for working in a smaller space or working in any kind of space. There you go.
And I think that's a perfect note to end on. If you asked any of the creators featured here today, or even look back at their previous work, links to all their channels in the description below, it's clear that this process takes a long time. Like anything that involves self-improvement, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Don't go crazy trying to perfect everything the first time, and don't let the pursuit of that perfection stop you from getting your work out there, because if there's one thing I can guarantee you, it's that no matter how hard you work to do everything right, even if you think you absolutely nailed it, in a few months, you're going to look back on that work, think it was terrible, and start the process all over again. And that's probably a good thing, but I do hope this video helps save you some trial and error, and maybe a bit of frustration along the way.
Oh, anyway, I hope that I hit all my chords because I have the jankiest setup right now.
Look a little bit more pizzazo. That's not a word.